So I'm filming in front of Sharkbait today. Hopefully this is a decent angle. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you the finale for Dude You Panned My Battleship. Now this project was solely done over on Instagram, which I was doing in collaboration with Ceylan from J Loves Makeup, who is now on YouTube. So I thought, why not take advantage of this situation and the finale, the finishing, the completion of this year-long battle and memorialize it on the tube. So I have Ceylan's Instagram as well as her YouTube channel linked down below, and I'll have her channel up here in the cards. So make sure you check her out, because especially if you are a fan of Project Pans, she has got quite a few running this year, and I for one have been enjoying her videos. And of course her cats, because they are fabulous. So a quick reminder of the premise of the Dude You Panned My Battleship project. This project was created by Elizabeth from Kookypans, who I will have linked down below, and she started by playing this game with Paula from ABeautyGuruMadeMeDoIt, who I'll also have linked down below. The structure is basically exactly the same as the Battleship's board game. So you start off with a board made up of eyeshadow singles. However, Ceylan and I both used palettes, which both had 20 shadows in them. Then you lay out your battleships. Generally you use a 4-pan battleship, a 3-pan battleship, and a 2-pan battleship. Though in saying that, I know of a lot of people who have changed it up a bit and are using different palettes, different shadows, and are doing it a wee bit differently. So it is not a hard and fast structure. However, we did include the 4er, the 3er, and the 2er. So obviously the opponent doesn't know where the battleships are hidden, where they are in the sea of palette, of shadow to say, and they have to hit pan on a shadow, then find out whether it is a hit or a miss. Have you hit a battleship or have you missed that battleship? So like I said, exactly like the game Battleships. So if you followed along with us on Instagram, you may remember that I was using the MCO Beauty Just Peachy palette. Ceylan, on the other hand, was using a Lorac palette where I placed her battleships. I'm going to put up a shot now of where I placed her battleships. However, for more details on how Ceylan went during this project, make sure to check out her finale video. But I'll give you a little secret. I'm not the one who won. But let's go back to my palette. So before starting this project, this palette had not been used at all. So it was definitely a good way to start it from my point of view. I was starting fresh with a palette that hadn't been used, and it was quite a challenge to hit pan on some of these shadows. So what I'm going to do now, just to basically wrap it all up, put a little bow on it, and give you a complete view of the year, I'm going to put in what I like to call the progress montage. This is where I finished up. This would be probably my February 2021 update. And really, as you can see, though I did add a couple more pans, I unfortunately did not come out on top. So this pan here, which was my most recent pan, was a hit, which then meant that this here was my twofer. That also meant that this pan right here was the last pan, the last melon, as they say. So I unfortunately was not, as you can see, there is a dip, but I was not able to hit pan before Ceylan beat me to the punch and hit the last pan on her last battleship. So let's talk strategy. When I first started, as you could see from my progress montage, I mostly focused on these easy shadows to hit them, I guess, out of the park, to get them done to move along. However, I do wonder whether that was the smartest choice on my behalf. I think it's because personally I had gone with the idea of putting an easy shadow into one of the battleships because I thought maybe you would think, you know, not to do that one because it would be too easy. You know, one of those kind of reverse psychology style things. However, that did not pan out for me in my battle against Ceylan, and it did not pan out for me in this aspect. So there was not any ships on the top row, which means I wasted quite a bit of time focusing on those shadows. However, I did enjoy them immensely. I really liked this one here, so I'll definitely be quite happy to include this in a future project and even finish it up. I did also quite enjoy this shadow in the top corner, which was the first shadow I hit pan on. I used it quite regularly as a face highlight, so I did enjoy that one as well. One of the shadows I did not enjoy, and I was quite happy when I strategically figured out that there was a very low to zero chance that there was a battleship on it, was this red shadow here. I thought these two were essentially the same shadow, which made me kind of question its use in the palette. I mean, I haven't changed that thought. I do feel that there really isn't much difference. Let me give you a quick swatch of the two. So if I hold them up like this, you can see there is a bit of a shade different. This one here is this top shade, and this one here is this bottom shade. But I don't know if you can tell, this one here is really, really chunky. It is super, super chunky. And even though, I guess, it didn't have much of a payoff. I guess you can kind of tell that this one has a bit more, this one it kind of tapers out quite a lot. And it kind of worked like that when using it. It seemed to get this weird, soft, flattened out look to it. And when putting it on your eyes, it kind of left these giant chunky bits that was patchy and a bit, it was a bit ho-hum to say. So I definitely enjoyed this red more than this red, and though yes, there are slight color differences, I will say essentially when they were on the eyes, if you managed to get this one to look pretty good, it looked very similar, and you definitely could not use both shadows at the same time. That would just kind of look like the same shadow. So I will say I enjoyed this one a lot more than that one, and I was quite happy to not have to continue using it. In addition to that, the first time I used this purple shadow, I didn't love it. It's quite a browned purple, so it looks really purple in the pan. But once you put it on your eyes, it's a bit more brown. It's a bit more of a browny kind of shadow. It's really taupey, I guess, is the correct term. So it's still purple, but it isn't as bright of purple as I originally kind of assumed it would be. But after that, I did find a way to use it, which was mixing it with this one and also this one. Once I kind of got my groove and figured out how it would fit within a makeup look, I definitely enjoyed it a lot more. And in saying that, I wasn't sure first I would enjoy these bright, shiny, metallic browns, but overall I really enjoyed them. In fact, overall I actually really enjoyed this palette, and I had no issues using this even as a standalone palette, which is especially good because this palette only cost me around $10 Australian from Woolworths. So I was very happy with the texture of the formula within this palette, and also the smell. I will say, after a constant year's worth of use, overall there isn't as much smell as there was when I first started. So when I first started using it, you would open it and the smell of peach would just permeate off of it. Now you have to kind of really get in there, and even then it's not as peachy, and the shadows do lose the smell quite a bit. So I know that is something that is probably a bit different about some of the other palettes that have scent to them. The scent tends to last a bit longer. However, in saying that, though I did enjoy the scent while it lasted, I'm not devastated that it no longer has that scent. As long as that means the palette hasn't technically gone bad, which I don't think it does. I think it is more a concept of there's only a limited amount of scent in there, and like most perfumes, I guess, the scent does not last forever. So that is basically my thoughts on that. I guess to finish this project up and to give my final thoughts on this palette, I very much enjoyed the palette. I was happy to be able to hit pan on a majority of these shades. As you can see, there are only 3 shades that I am lacking pan on. So it is quite good to see a palette that has so much love and so much use. This palette definitely fueled my decision to only aim to hit pan on my Kat Von D Metal Matte palette as part of my Pan That palette for this year. Because seeing a palette with this much pan is definitely a good feeling. And yes, I would like to finish it up at one point. I'm happy to basically be able to say this is how much progress I got out of a year's worth of using this palette, while I still dibbled and dabbled in other shadows within other projects and without. So that is really where we are with this project. We're done, we're dusted. I wanted to finish up in a bit of a bang, a bit more than just saying, yep, you've sunk my last battleship. But it is as it is. Ceylan has sunk my last battleship and she has gone away triumphant. I, on the other hand, was one shadow off, and I am basically 100% sure that this would have been my final ship, which I'm still very pleased about. I was a little worried that Ceylan was going to eat her way through the eyeshadows, as it seemed at the start of this competition, and I was going to be left in the dust. But I'm pleased to say I kept up with her, and it really was a bit of a nail-biter end. I will say, though I lost the battle, it was a fair and equal loss, and I very much enjoyed playing this game with Ceylan, and I would love to do it again in the future. So to finish up, make sure you check out Ceylan's video to see her thoughts and feelings and progress to finish up this project. And also make sure you check out Kookypans and ABeautyGuruMadeMeDoIt to see their game, as well as everybody else who is completing it. So just use the hashtag dudeyoupannedmybattleship either on Instagram or YouTube, and hopefully you will find many more panners who are completing this game against each other. I mean, really, what a way to structure a panning project, but to make it both a competition and an enjoyable collaboration with a friend. I will say that is one thing that I definitely appreciate about this project. Before completing this, before getting into this game, I personally had never met Ceylan. I had maybe seen her once or twice on other people's posts, but I hadn't really, I guess, had the time to make acquaintance. And I will say that's something that we achieved from this project. And that is one of the best things about the panning community. You can make new friends along the way. With that, let's wrap this bad boy up. So I'm Verity. That was the finale for the Dude You Pan My Battleship game I played with Ceylan. And now to the outro.